Gabby Stadium, last place Blacktown City took on Sunshine George Cross. Blacktown haven't won in their last 6 matches. They've had trouble scoring goals, and it seemed that they were going to get the same problems this afternoon. Laurie McKinnon was back in the striking line, and it was his shot that was handled that led to a penalty. Ralphie Meyer is the player who steps forward, and Blacktown City take the lead after 29 minutes. That gave Blacktown all the confidence they needed. Paul Carter was very much involved, as was Jeff Gunning, who had an outstanding match. Here he combines with Carter and Aaron Bassich, a good chest back, and John Gibson rifles it in from outside the penalty area. 2-0 to Blacktown. Jeff Gunning also had a hand in Blacktown's next goal. He was involved in the move twice, which started with Ozhikov in midfield. Gunning eventually gets it across, but seems to overhit his cross. But watch here for the run-in of Aaron Bassich. He does well to keep the ball in play. Ball again comes across the face of goal. A let off here for Sunshine, but there's Gunning again, turning it back across the face of goal. Aaron Bassich from an acute angle gives Blacktown a 3-0 lead. Well, Blacktown were really firing, but Sunshine had their chances, mostly in the second half. The move started with Sean Parton. And John Campbell picks out Ernie Tapai with a long through ball. Tapai does all the hard work, takes it round the keeper, and the goal at his mercy puts it over the bar. Blacktown City 3, Sunshine George Cross 0.
Crosstown at Sunshine, Marconi Fairfield were also below championship form against George Cross. But even so, they were on the score sheet after just 6 minutes. A long ball from Robbie Wheatley found Paul Ocon, who played it for Vince Colagiuri, only to see Tommy McCulloch take over, and in style. McCulloch's 8th of the season. Sunshine coach Ernie Merrick had made some stinging criticisms of his players after their loss to Blacktown. And to their credit, they immediately went on the attack. Lawrence Kidner forced a save from Kaplan. Then Ernie Tapai, who was in dynamic form, was denied by the woodwork. George Cross continued to have the best of the match until McCulloch got his second after 67 minutes. The midfielder seems to have taken over the bulk of the scoring responsibility since the loss of striker Zlatko Nastevski. In his keenness to notch a hat-trick, it was McCulloch straying offside in the 90th minute that denied teammate Fred de Jong a goal. Final score at Skinner Reserve, Sunshine George Cross 0, Marconi 2. West have had contrasting seasons. Yesterday, George Cross, already looking ahead to next year, fielded 6 teenagers in its 13, while Melbourne Croatia's push for the title received a boost with the return of the experienced Josip Biskic, who was soon in the action. Despite having all the play, it was a frustrating opening half hour for Croatia, as an undermanned but resolute Sunshine kept them at bay. But it was Sunshine's goalkeeper who kept them in the game. Having already denied Biskic, Sean Keogh did likewise to Francis Awaratifi. It was another long ball which did the damage. A shuffle in the midfield with Biskic's return saw John Markovski in the unaccustomed number 4 shirt. His unattended waltz through the middle was spotted by Branko Milosevic, and it was thumped home with accustomed Markovski power. After 32 minutes, Melbourne Croatia won up. Zelko Adjic had chances to increase the lead before half-time, Alan Rudhouse blocking his first, and Sean Parton's pressure causing him to stub his second. Missed opportunities have been the bane of Croatia's season, and within a minute of the restart, Markovski missed a free header. More near misses followed. Sunshine nearly made Croatia pay when John Waddell and Luciano Fabrizio combined to give Paul Foster the chance to show his ambidextrous skill. David Miller was equally as brilliant. Before his signing, Croatia had eagerly sought the services of Sean Keogh, and with pace and bravery he showed why. But after 85 minutes, there was little he could do, as George Hanna's long pass again split Sunshine open, this time for Ivan Kalic. The substitute gave the fans some heart failure, but wasn't going to score until he was perfectly balanced. The final scoreline, Melbourne-Croatia 2, Sunshine 0. But one day soon, Croatia will take all its chances. Heidelberg Alexander kicked off its return to the National League in the green and pleasant surroundings of Skinner Reserve, and its opening goal of the new season was a benevolent welcome back. A bullocking run from Alan Scott set up new signing George Slifkas, who embarrassed Sean Keogh. The Victorian State League champions had old rivals George Cross on the rack. Scott combined with Angie Goutsoulis this time, and an unmarked Phil Stubbins slammed it home. Georgie managed to survive for another 17 minutes, but were like flies drawn into Heidelberg's web. John Waddell couldn't resist handling Phil Stubbins' cross, and the resulting spot kick saw Sunshine concede their third in 40 minutes. The veteran Stuart Cannell did the honours for the Burgers. With the game already lost, George Cross did manage to pull one back in the second half. Derek Hunter heading on the free kick to a delighted Gary Hassler. A moment of joy for Sunshine, but a triumphant return to national ranks for Heidelberg. Sunshine George Cross 1, Heidelberg Alexander 3.
Brady and Marconi were home for the first time this season. They were parading their new talent. Mark Jones had been signed from Sydney, Croatia, as had David Seal. Also in the lineup, John Markovski. It was the new boys that combined well in the opening 4 minutes. Mark Jones on hand to give Marconi a lead. But it was going to be a busy afternoon for the Sunshine defenders. David Seal, who's signed to score goals, is the player who provides this time a cutback, met by Tommy McCulloch, and after 18 minutes, Marconi are 2-0 ahead. Sunshine made a couple of early substitutions as they battled to get back in the game, but it was all Marconi in the first half. Sean Keogh again called into action. But it was a mistake between the keeper, Sean Keogh, and John Waddell, the defender. David Seal, ever alert, takes it past the keeper and plants it in the back of an empty net. 30 minutes gone, Marconi 3, Sunshine George Cross 0. And isn't David Seal happy? His first goal for his new club. And he added another one to that tally after 71 minutes. Peter Katholis is the player who has the shot. The keeper can't hold it. David Seal again is Johnny on the spot. 4-0 now to Marconi. And just 3 minutes later, David Seal completed his hat-trick. A long cross ball in, well met there by Seal, eludes the keeper. Marconi 5, Sunshine George Cross 0. 4 marks though to George Cross. They kept battling away. Hunt is the player who's denied by a good save from Bobby Catlin. But in the 86th minute, a good build-up from Sunshine led to a consolation goal. Derek Hunter's the player who gets on the end of the cross from Clarkson. His header eludes Bobby Catlin. Marconi 5, Sunshine George Cross 1. And Marconi hadn't finished. As we come up to the final minute, Seal's the player causing all the problems. He's tripped in the penalty area, and Marconi get a penalty. Sean Keogh had a game that he'd rather forget. And he has now to face a penalty from Tommy McCulloch, which he saves, but McCulloch following up, plants it in the back of the net. Final scoreline at the Marconi Stadium. Marconi 6, Sunshine George Cross 1. 9 months. He was thrown a lifeline last week when he was signed by Wollongong City from Apia by coach David Ratcliffe to add some stability at the back. Wollongong coming into this game after suffering 2 consecutive 4-1 defeats. They took the lead though after 25 minutes. Pat Brodnick was the player on hand to nod in the cross that was supplied by Cush. Sunshine George Cross don't travel well. They troubled Tony Pisano early in the second half. Pisano there starting to repay some of his transfer fee. Sunshine, though, were caught out at the back on 2 occasions. The Wollongong goals coming from throw-ins of all things. Cush, the player on hand there, it hits the post and just goes over the line. And Sunshine again were punished just 9 minutes from the end. Again, a throw-in which they failed to clear. It falls nicely in the end for Lloyd. He sweeps it into the back of the net. 2 welcome points for David Ratcliffe's Wollongong, who run out winners by 3-0.
the match this afternoon between the Green Gully Cavaliers and Sunshine George Cross. Let's take a look at the two lineups. First of all, the home side in goal is Sant, Spiteri number 2, Crodden number 3, Kitsikidis number 4, Campelge number 5, Chakudi number 6, Scoble number 7, John Waddell, the Morwell Falcons player, who's a guest player here, number 8, Joe Tricarico number 9, Genovese 11, and Cameron Brown is number 14 for Green Gully. Sunshine George Cross have former VIS goalkeeper Steve Waddell between the sticks, Jamie Melrose in defence along with Kanasoulis, Anthony Kassar number 4 in midfield, Mark Aretis and Chris Deglaris in the centre of defence, Craig Lewis, Norm Doherty number 8, Kurutsoglu number 9, Stenson number 10, and the speedster Sherifovsky number 11 on the left wing for Sunshine. And the referee today is Jürgen Anus, who was the referee in charge of last week's match of the day. So a bit of exposure for Mr. Anus, and it's Green Gully who kick off, playing against this stiff breeze in the first half. And probably the phrase stiff breeze would be somewhat of an understatement. And I'm sure you'll get a shot from one of our cameras at the flags behind the goal just to give you some perception on how strong it is.
Paul, it's blowing a gale out there, my friend. I just came in, and the inclement weather is definitely just that, but you wouldn't expect anything else from the Green Gully Reserve. Traditionally the wind-swept ground up here at the Gully. Big clash, this one. Traditional rivals first met in the Premier League, then called the State League, 2 decades ago, and of course they've been great rivals ever since. So plenty of history about this clash, as well as plenty of drama involving the two sides on the ladder. Sunshine Georgies, of course, chasing the double chance and third spot, and the Green Gully, well, really this is last chance territory for them in terms of the relegation and top 5 battle.
Yeah, Green Gully 10 points away from a top 5 position at this stage, which makes it pretty hard for them. They'll be looking at the other end of the table a little bit more closely, I think, where the relegation dogfight is taking place just below them. And the first yellow of the day is issued by Jürgen Anus. And that was a sliding tackle on the edge of the penalty area there, and it's a free kick to Sunshine.
Sorry, Frank was
with this wind behind them.
Interrupted him.
And it was the number 10, I think, Genovese, or 11 rather, who was given the yellow card. Free kick to Sunshine. Early pressure from them. Just outside the Green Gully penalty area. Plenty forward for the away side. Early test for Sant in the Green Gully goal. Hasn't had much to do so far.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard any exact figures. I mean, I did
movement in the area. Stenson with the free kick across. Brave header. And Jürgen Anus claiming that the number 7, Lewis, just put his head down too low, and it was dangerous play.
Okay.
Chakudi, long ball. Lost in the centre. Oh, tidy play there from the number 11, Genovese. This Green Gully forward down this left-hand side. Breaks free to Anthony Kassar. Switch inside. Yes. Good play.
Come on,
Sunshine through on the keeper. The shot came and hit the post.
Oh,
tremendous effort there. And Sunshine so close to opening the scoring.
Some spectacular form in the second half of the season as Kassar tries to split the gap. Chakudi away to half field. Georgie's there. Tricarico over the football. Good turn by him, but good defensive work by Melrose it was. Georgie's come again. Again, with the aid of that breeze, it's really belting down the ground, as it always does. Here as Tricarico runs onto the through ball into the area from the angle. Can he knock it in? No, he can't. Good pressure from the Georgie defenders, who had to scramble. Paul on yellow, perhaps even red alert then, as Tricarico scooted toward the line In the end, the pressure came. The angle was very, very difficult, but the gully will come up with the corner from the outer end of the ground. An outswinger, Waddell's there with the header, knocks it high in the air. Difficult one for the goalkeeper, but it just sits on the roof of the net.
And that's intelligent play by the gully goalkeeper. Taken quickly, Kassar. Not from the correct spot, according to Jürgen Anush. There's Stenson. Again, Sunshine patient in their build-up. Kurtzoglu comes. First touch really just letting him down there. Cherofovsky, if he can keep it in, this is dangerous. He pulls it back well, a great chance. Still not clear. Stenson. He'll cut in on the left foot. And time for Gully to clear, but they don't do the job competently and they're still under pressure. More signs that Sunshine are the more likely side to open the scoring.
Well, they've certainly been the better side in the opening quarter hour, Paul. Don't have any doubts about that.
Green Gully really do have to weather the storm for the first half and hope for more in the second. Long clearance, Tricarico, who's such a willing chaser, and who wouldn't be with a burst of pace like that. Look at that, it was never his ball to win there. And Tricarico, with this reputation that's growing by the months, he was at least 2 metres behind the defender. He got to the ball first and beat 2 players and won a corner. He's a little bit of a lone ranger at the moment for Green Gully up front, but he's a real handful. And he takes the corner as well. Waddell is the key figure here, and there is Waddell. And he missed it, and that's off the line. And again, Green Gully respond from the set piece.
Well, that's encouraging for the Cavs, Paul. And that's paid dividends with Willie Vassallo coaching. It's Sakidis away for the Gully toward the outer side, edging it down the line. And as far as Lewis stabs at that one inside for Stenson. Goes long. Georgie's come again. Glaris! Whoa! What a shot! He rifled that one. It was a cannonball, but a good take all the same by Charlie Sant. Saw it early and really was untroubled in taking it, except for the fact that it probably knocked the nipple off his chest. It was a wicked shot, Paul.
Oh, great shot, and got to give credit to the keeper there. He must have covered half the width of the goal, and he might be called into action here as well. Kurtzoglu.
And Alex in 2 minds. He had no support then. He was looking up and looking up. Nothing was happening. The late run came from Craig Lewis, but it was too late, and in the end, Kurtzoglu couldn't control the football at that scoreboard end, which still reads big goose eggs, Paul Williams, in the big game between the Green Gully Cavaliers and Sunshine Georgies. There's Charlie Sant. Takes the long run up again. Gets a slice on that one. Cherofovsky with the header over the shoulder. Away by Ketsakidis to half field. Kurtzoglu, long way out from the mark, looking for the free man. Aridis makes himself available. Goes first time wide right for Melrose. Inside for Stenson. Ambitious crossfield for Canasoulis. Cross, low, difficult one down for Zaglaris. The second touch, Kasari should have put it away. Anthony Kasari knocked it off the outside of his right foot, but wide of the post. As we tick within a minute of garbage time in this opening half at the Gully Reserve. Still a fairly vociferous crowd for the big game. As Glaris loses the run of the ball through the middle. Kassar might get a second chance for the Georgie, but he's on his own, and Ketsakidis saw it early, knocked it away. Kurtzoglu again. Melrose inside. Waddell, Tricarico spears the pass first time for Genovese, just too long And again, the Georgies get the football back. As referee Jurgen Anush, we've got another casualty of war. Peter Spiteri, it may be, who's hit the deck and he's holding his bonce. Still no goals. Chances have been shared. As the crowd flips up the collars here at Green Gully. 46.5 played in the opening half. Still no goals at the Gully Reserve. Although significant number of chances. As the half-time whistle goes, Jurgen Anush tells us that's all there is for the opening half. And the scoreline in what is a finely balanced and passionately fought affair between the two old rivals is Green Gully 0, Sunshine Georgies 0. And we'll be back in just a moment with all the second half action on the Soccer Show. And that wraps it up for the first half of the match of the day. Paulie, between the Cavs and the Georgies, no score at half time and plenty of drama surrounding the match. A good meaty crowd in there.